10 studio albums and over 3,000 shows in his solo career, including gigs at Wembley Stadium and the 2012 Olympics, punk-influenced English singer-songwriter Frank Turner is a true workhorse. As if his musical output weren't enough, he's also penned 2 books that take unique approaches to sharing his life story. Today, we're examining his second book, 2019's Try This at Home: Adventures in Songwriting. This book provides a detailed look at his songwriting process, offering insight to budding musicians, giving fans new perspectives on old favorites. Hey, it's Matt. On this episode of Loud Lit, I'm talking about one of the 2 books from one of my favorite rock acts, Frank Turner. In fact, just this past week, I went to Cincinnati, Ohio with my wife and son to see him perform show number 3113. Yes, he keeps track of every show. The headliners were punk legends The Descendents. They put on a really fun show, and shout out to opening act No Bro. I enjoyed their set too. But as far as my family and I were concerned, Turner easily had the best performance of the night. He knew that since he was opening for The Descendents, it was going to be a rowdy crowd looking for fast and furious numbers, so he kept his own set more in the energetic punkish realm. Songs like Get Better, 4 Simple Words, and the hardcore-leaning Non Serviam. But the crowd let him slow the pace a couple of times, like on Be More Kind. A highlight for me was Glory Hallelujah. It's one of my absolute favorite songs of his, and in the 5 or 6 previous times I'd seen him live, I hadn't heard that one. So after he played it, I said to my wife, finally! Overall, it was another amazing performance, and if you're not familiar with Frank Turner, do yourself a favor and look him up. In fact, I'll put a playlist of recommendations along with some concert clips on the Loudlit Substack. Click the link in the show notes to check that out. And when you're shopping online for books, make sure you start at the Loudlit Bookshop page. When you do, you'll be supporting this show as well as independent booksellers. Now, let's talk about Try This at Home. A large part of Frank Turner's appeal is his songwriting. A quick Google image search will show you just how many fans have his lyrics tattooed on their skin. I myself have Turner-inspired ink on my right arm. The man just has a knack for writing songs that are deeply personal, yet resonate with listeners on a universal level. He's written about love, heartbreak, politics, religion, and music itself. Turner's first book, 2015's The Road Beneath My Feet, showed his passion for performing across the globe, delivering an autobiography in the form of a tour diary. That book spanned his first 4 solo albums, wrapping up in the England Keep My Bones era. His second book, Try This at Home: Adventures in Songwriting, discusses his career arc through the lens of his lyrics. It's not a traditional autobiography, but the chapters are laid out chronologically and give snapshots of his life as a musician. At the time of Try This at Home's release, he had put out an additional 3 studio albums since the last book, so the stories extend further into his discography, ending with songs from Be More Kind. The songs Turner covers in his book range in popularity from hits like Recovery and The Next Storm to deep cuts with interesting stories behind them. For example, he lists Broken Piano among his top 5 of his proudest songwriting achievements, even though its experimental nature confounded fans at first. In the book, Turner explains his thinking behind the musical exploration, helping fans at least appreciate the song more fully, even if it's not one of their favorites. In a less serious chapter, he explains the backstory of The Ballad of Steve, a hilarious song that immortalizes the wild but true story about a flight attendant who deals with an uncooperative passenger in the most badass way possible. Aside from the peeks behind the curtain, it's Turner's writing style that makes Try This at Home an accessible and enjoyable read. Writing a book about your own songs could easily come off as pretentious and self-absorbed. Try This at Home steers fully clear of that nonsense. Turner doesn't take himself too seriously, peppering his tales with self-deprecating humor. For instance, he doesn't shy away from laughing at his own ignorance when he titled a song Sunshine State, even though the song was about California, not Florida. He admits that even when he writes about politics, he doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He just sings about the world from his viewpoint. It's a good reminder for all of us. We can state our opinions and stand up for our beliefs, but let's not pretend we know it all. He even talks about his mistakes and regrets, from the B-side that he should have put on the proper album, to the feeling of knowing that the ex-girlfriend who inspired a harshly blunt breakup song heard it and was devastated. If you're a songwriter, this book gives you plenty to consider and learn from. Of course, Frank Turner fans are going to love this book. It features 36 career-spanning songs and reveals their origin stories and even some hidden meanings. But if you yourself are a musician, you'll get a lot out of Try This at Home. It's not a how-to manual with step-by-step instructions for writing great songs. If such a thing exists, it's probably a load of crap anyway. Instead, Try This at Home is the work of an accomplished songwriter sharing the strategies that have worked for him. You may find some things in this book that work for you, or maybe you'll at least gain a better understanding of how much effort is required to master this craft. Whatever you take from Try This at Home Adventures in Songwriting, you're sure to enjoy reading it and giving Frank Turner's music a fresh listen with new context. Thanks a lot for listening. Please rate, review, and subscribe so you can keep getting music book recommendations. And again, if you're not familiar with Frank Turner's music, click the link in the show notes to the Loudlit Substack page. I've made a playlist of songs that I think are a good starting point for newbies. Plus, I included a YouTube video with clips from the show I just saw. And if you want your own copy of Try This at Home, click the bookshop link in the show notes. Until next time, keep reading, keep rocking.